Who in their right mind would ever believe that South Africa's winningmost jockey would be educated at the Altoona Primary School, situated just a few kilometres from Fairview Racecourse, and in fact be so clever that his father wanted him to become a doctor? Well, the rest is history, as the iron-willed Piere Strydom decided that he wanted to become a jockey, although he was initially scared of horses. And we know that he achieved a wonderful mark of over 5,000 winners towards the end of 2014. I think it was late October. But this past Thursday at the Vaal, he achieved yet another milestone, and that was also 5,000 winners. So what's different? Well, very simply, it's 5,000 winners on South African soil, whereas the previous mark included all his international victories. He had an absolutely marvellous day at the Vaal on Thursday, winning the first and the second, and we caught up with him immediately after the running of the 8th race, which was an absolutely vintage, breathtaking Piere Strydom performance when he got up in the shadow of the post to deny the hot pot favourite Quinta of victory with Michael Azzey's Peep Show.
To get to the 5,000, every single one counts, and that's why, I've got to be grateful for the support I've had through the years. You get your bad times, but in general, I've just had so much support, trainers, owners, friends behind the scenes. Sometimes you have those bad runs and you need that encouragement and that self-belief. And to finally got 5,000 locally, just another milestone. Hopefully I've got a couple more, but just happy that this has happened at this stage.
Yeah, I have to echo your sentiments, because you mentioned many horses that you remember from your first 5,000 winners. Now you're onto your second 5,000, and obviously they're great finishes like Tudorula, but to pick up this ride on Peep Show and get to the post first was an extraordinary piece of engineering that I think everybody will revere.
Yeah, it's probably a win that replicates my earlier riding. When I used to ride in Port Elizabeth, and the pace was very fast, and you've got those headwinds and you've got to hide your horse behind the leaders. So it's very, very similar. But today wasn't quite exactly the conditions that you would normally ride a horse like that. But to finally get up in the final strides, all smiles, very happy.
Well, you've had many sponsors as the years go by. You were the very first jockey ever to get a big sponsor from the Ocean Basket, but Wildecrans are on board now. They've come on board at a very opportune time, and hats off to them for having the vision.
Yes, Ocean Basket was one of the first to sponsor any jockey. I think Andrew Fortune was about to get on board, but things didn't work out well for him, and he helped me to get on board. And then now we're with Wildecrans. They've been exceptionally good to me. Not only being paid by them, but also getting all the little extras, accommodation and enjoying their fine wine and champagne. So and a very nice bunch of guys too. I'm very happy to be involved with them. I know I'm a senior jock now, so I don't know how many more years I can stay on top, but I'm hoping to stay involved with them when my riding career is over.
Well, when you see guys like Gary Stevens and Lester Piggott and all the Hall of Famers, I mean, there's so many, there are too many to mention. They've always got that public appeal. So I cannot possibly imagine why any sponsor would want to bail on a guy that's riding the crest of the wave such as you are.
Yeah, maybe they've come in a good time as well. I've had an unbelievable season. Unfortunately, I've dropped back in my number of winners. I was leading the championship and then got some injuries. But before that, I was riding some really good horses. Harry's Son, Siren's Call, Louis the King, still on board with them. We can't win all the races, but we've been winning and campaigning in the big races and winning them. So it's obviously it's nice for them to have come on board. I'll do my best to keep them happy and stay with them as long as possible.
I'd just like to touch on Siren's Call, because that's one of the biggest heartbreaks that South African racegoers will ever have. To see a filly unfortunately having to be reshot at the start, and she's not exactly the calmest of fillies, and the way you'd always got there in the closing stages in the Guineas and the Classic, it just didn't map up in the 2,400 metre race, because she was travelling so well, and you knew that you probably only had one filly to beat in Pine Princess.
Yeah, the race itself worked out perfect. I initially wanted to have her quite handy, but Sean felt that she's won a mile, she's won 18. We shouldn't worry about trying to outstay them and make. And the pace they went, I was very happy when Sean gave me those instructions in hindsight, because they went very fast. Obviously, the cock filly went. I'm not sure if she made pace for the companion.
Yes, most certainly.
But it definitely counted at the end, because the race worked out for me very well. I moved up with Pine Princess. We were together at the 200-meter mark, and it was just a matter of me, pressing at final 1 or 2% and getting up. And unfortunately, we got beat. We got there with 10 strides, 20 strides to go, but she just didn't stay. So, it's sad. I mean, she played up before the start. The going was very sticky and cut up and heavy. So all those little factors didn't help us, but it's close, but we can't win them all.
If I had you in the studio, we could carry on waxing lyrical for an hour at least, but I need to ask you this very important question. This lead in the National Jockey's title has changed hands several times. We have Gavin Lorena at the top. The bookmakers have priced up. They've got their opinion. You've drifted to an absolutely ridiculous price. Are you going to take up the challenge, Strikes?
Too old for that, Andrew. When you get older, it's hard to get into a comfort zone. You've done it all. You've had many winners. You've won championships. And if it comes along, you do it. But the younger guys, obviously they're hungrier. They haven't done it. They travel to Kimberley and PE and to Scottsville, wherever. They go out of their way. As you get older, that comfort zone is hard to get out of. Obviously, I won't just throw in the towel. I'm here to ride winners as many as I can. Travel up and down to Durban now and again for the futures. And if I'm in with a chance, definitely not going to just say you have it, So, but it's hard to beat a talented, hungry guy.
Yeah, look, Gavin Lorena's got his limitations in terms of his weight allowance. He's obviously extremely hungry inside and extremely talented. But if you had to put the message out there that PE is calling, I'm sure the rides would come in leaps and bounds, as they did for Anton Marcus when he was called to Kimberley with the might of Marcus and Ingrid Jooste.
Yeah, I've definitely been asked already by a couple of nice yards. Maybe I won't mention it now in case it affects the jockey's position that are riding for them currently. But I have been asked, and I'm hopefully, if I need it in a month or two, it's still open. Obviously, I can't be too far behind because it's difficult to only ride in Johannesburg and PE. And if other guys are travelling Kimberley and Durban as well, if they just crack 1 or 2, it's 1 or 2 more I have to make, and then I still have to catch up. So it won't be easy.
Well, suffice to say that to break your 5,000th local winner here at the Vaal, and to be on 5,002 and having ridden a treble with an incredible ride of Peep Show, words fail me for the adoration and for the praise that we have for your contribution to South African horse racing, and we wish you very well for that championship if you decide to change your mind, and for the rest of the year and the years that you're riding.
Yeah, thanks very much, Andrew. You start off your career hoping that you can just be successful, because I'm a realist. A lot of people always said I'm a pessimist, but I'm a realist. I know there's certain things in life I can't do, but I know now that I can ride a horse. And you set goals, realistic goals, because if you don't set realistic goals, you open yourself up to fall down very hard, and it breaks your confidence. So I set myself goals as I went along my career. I realized that I was able to compete against the top boys, and then I realized I could actually not only compete, I could beat them. And in time, obviously, championships came along, big race winners came along, more support from trainers and owners, and then obviously the winners came, and finally getting to this figure. But as I said, it started small, and then self-belief and just plugging away.
Well, you might think you're a realist. I know that you're not a pessimist, but I think you underestimate yourself, and I have the last word.
Thanks.